Well, it's a rainy day in Georgia, so I thought I would take this time to go over my reviews of TMPR or temper paddles. I'm wearing my shirt from my gold medal 4.0 match at the Super Seniors Tournament in Texas, but enough about me. So the first paddle I used was the Tantrum LX. It's an elongated paddle, and I say it's elongated because the face is longer than it is wide, and it doesn't have a handle that's long for two-handed backhands. It's fiberglass. I got into a discussion with someone on Reddit about why would you buy a fiberglass paddle when you can buy a carbon paddle. Well, there's a lot of reasons why. Yeah, a carbon paddle will give you more spin if you know how to impart spin on the ball. Fiberglass paddles will give you more power. Maybe when Gen 2 comes out, the fiberglass paddles will be more powerful. I don't know. But the reason I used this paddle was I was playing in a, let's call it a training game called Rover Pickleball. And you have two people up at the net and one person back, that's the rover. So if the people at the net can't get the ball, the rover gets it. And the rover's job is to hit it at the opponent's net players. So I didn't really want to drill anyone, but I personally wanted to work on my push dink, which is something I'm trying to get better at, rather than a lift dink that a lot of us use. So I used this paddle, A, because it was elongated and has a better sweet spot because of that, and it gave me a little bit more power, so I didn't have to really provide my own power to get that push drop shot, if you will, going. The next paddle I used was the Terra TC16. That is a carbon-faced paddle. It does have a longer handle, so it's great for two-handed backhands. And I had to learn a two-handed backhand because I had rotator cuff surgery in October. I'm still recovering, and it's a very, very long process. So I was learning how to hit left-handed drives. And in reality, what I was doing is, as I golf, right hand for guidance, left hand for power. I would get the paddle, and then I would let go. And then I realized really what I was doing was hitting a two-handed backhand. So I like this paddle. It's graphite. I could put tons of spin on it. And if you can see this, you can see the face. You can see where the remnants of balls are on the face of that paddle. So it's a very good paddle. The next paddle I used was the TC13. I like thinner paddles. In general, thinner paddles are more powerful. It's the same size as the TC16, it's just thinner, therefore it's more powerful. This is, if you're an advanced player and you want a paddle where you're not necessarily want a paddle that's going to provide more power, but you want a paddle so you can provide more power, and get more consistency with your shots, as well as imparting spin on the ball. This is a really good paddle for that purpose. And then finally, I used the Terra LX. Now, I don't know why, but this paddle felt heavier to me than the rest of the paddles. So I got out my kitchen scale and I weighed it. It's exactly the same weight as all the other paddles. I'm sorry, let me go back. It felt lighter than the other paddles, but it's the same weight. I don't know why it felt lighter, but because in my head, before I weighed it, I assumed that it was lighter. So when I was at the net, I was taking big cuts and really doing well with this paddle. So I would say if you're a 3.0, 3.5 plus, this would be a really good paddle for you. It has a nice surface. It is fiberglass, but I can feel the texture on it, so you can put a lot of spin on it. The temper paddles are made in Buchanan, Michigan. And a friend of mine who plays pickleball at our club was in Michigan, and he visited their factory. And so I want to talk a moment about quality control. He said that they take paddles out that don't meet their specs, and they put them on a wall and they sell them for half price. I've gotten to the point where I not only weigh my paddles, but I use a micrometer to measure them. If that sounds nuts, yeah, maybe it is. but I ordered a 14 millimeter paddle from another company, and I measured it, came back at 14 and a half. I did not ask for a 14 and a half millimeter paddle, so I sent them an email and they said, okay, we'll exchange it. And then I got my 14 millimeter paddle. So if you're looking for thinner paddles, for more power, even if you're looking for 16 millimeter paddles, you should definitely get a micrometer, and I'll write up a blog that includes this video, and I'll tell you the two kinds of micrometers that you can get. Some are ridiculously expensive, some are pretty reasonable. I'm cheap. I don't want to spend a lot of money on a micrometer. I just want one that works. So, Tempur paddles are very good paddles. They're made in the United States. They have high quality control. If you have any questions, I will post this blog and I'll put out a message on Facebook. Just contact me through my blog and I'll be happy to answer them. That's it. And as you can see, it's a great view behind me. I was hoping that another storm would roll through, which they seem to do about every 30 minutes, and you get to see some lightning, but that's not happening. You'll just have to take my word for it that this has been an insane week. Managed to get about 2 hours of drills in this morning, and then it started raining. And realistically, it hasn't stopped raining since. All right, look for my blog.